everyone. Welcome to another captivating episode of Keeping It Real by Housing.com. Wish you all a very happy Navratri and Durga Puja festivities. The festive season is upon us. There's a nip of cheeriness in the air. Traditionally, this period starting from Ganesh Chaturthi to Diwali and extending up to Christmas is considered auspicious to invest in property. And home buyers eagerly wait for the festive season to strike a hard bargain. Developers to provide various offers such as cash discounts, gift vouchers, free maintenance for a few years, payment of interest portion of home loan till possession, discounts in the purchase of additional parking spots, waiver of preferential location charges, and some free home appliances to bump up sales. Several new projects are launched around this time of the year. So there are plenty of options for home buyers. To help us understand the prevailing reality trends during this festive season, we have with us someone who knows it like the back of his palm, Vikas Wadhawan, CFO REA India and Business Head, PropTiger.com. Helen, a warm welcome, Vikas. Wish you a very happy Navratras and Durga Puja. Delighted to have you on the show.
Hello, Gaurav, and wish you and all your viewers a very happy festive season.
Because developers are known to offer various deals, discounts, and tax breaks during the festive season to attract home buyers, and we are right now in the beginning of that, if I may say so, in the high noon of that. What are your suggestions for home buyers? I ask you these questions because there are certain trends. Say, for instance, we now know that the final prices of houses are rising, and there's also growing demand at the same time. So, what do you recommend or suggest home buyers, given the fact that prices are rising, and also there are extremely lucrative offers from developers across all price segments? Because
Gaurav, good question, and I think the right timing. But as you may have heard me saying that in the past, for home buyers, especially for the end users, my suggestion always is, and I'll use a saying which we've heard it many times in our childhood days: "Kaal kare so aaj kare so ab." I think that's very perfectly suits to the
correct.
situation because
Uh-huh.
the prices are increasing,
Mhm.
the demand sentiment is very high in the market. Do your diligence, find the right home. If you've ticked all the boxes from the diligence of the project, diligence on the developer, your financial arrangements, how much you're going to contribute from your pocket, your mortgage arrangements, impact of EMI on your monthly cash flows, and so on and so forth, then you should go ahead and do your deal. Don't wait for anything else.
Because there is something that I always thought that I'll ask you. Freebies and incentives, in my view, should not be the key determinant or the primary driving force behind the decision to buy a particular house or a particular property. I mean, it does work for fence sitters, but mostly, in my view, and I don't have data to substantiate that, of course, is that freebies and incentives can only take you that far. But the key determinant of that decision will be a lot of factors. In fact, your current income, your expectations of future income, because most houses are bought on loans, etc. And close to the festive season, we see a lot of buyers wait for the auspicious time, and the offer, of course, adds to that package. Besides these incentives, Vikas, what are the key aspects that a home buyer and investor needs to look into to secure the best value for investment? Vikas?
See, Gaurav, as you rightly said, these are not the key determinants. And especially in today's market, when the prices are rising, expecting discounts and freebies, I think is slightly you're expecting too much from the market. Look at. I'll share some data points. Look at Delhi NCR. The property prices have increased by 49% on an average between this year and last year. When the property prices are going up, the demand sentiment is pretty positive. I think striking a good deal which checks all the boxes is super critical. And obviously, we should negotiate. We should definitely try and see what we can extract in that deal. But this is only an icing on the cake. It's not the cake. The cake is making the right property decision,
Yeah.
which you're going to enjoy for the next 10 to 15 years. So that's super critical. The other point I would suggest all the home buyers. Sometimes we get attracted to freebies like like modular kitchen or ACs and blah blah blah. I would suggest try and get that adjusted in the cash price of the transaction, because these are the things when you're moving into the house, you want to do it as per your own taste, and what the developer may provide may not suit you as per your personal preferences. So if you can get that adjusted in the cash price, that's the best thing. If that option is not there, take it whatever is available.
Absolutely. Because finally, the question on interest rates, and that's been lingering around people's mind, and anyone who tracks the Indian economy and the monetary markets for a long time now. We have seen the biggest boy in this club, which is the US Fed, actually cut rate by 50 basis points, which kind of will have the effects of that, of course, will spread across continents, and the ripple effect will reach the Indian shores too. The Indian economy, to be fair, and as a mark of bullishness for India, has entered some kind of a sweet spot. And anyone who's tracking Indian economy is saying that amid a piling uncertainty in geopolitical as well as, and which has also had ripple effects on the global economy, India remains a beacon of hope, and also the only biggest, strongest sweet spot in the world economy. There are expectations that the RBI may actually start its rate cutting cycle as early as in the next MPC meeting. The next MPC meeting ends on October 9. Now, whether it's in this meeting or the subsequent meeting is, I think, only a matter of detail. But however, there seems to be a consensus that RBI is eventually going to start cutting rates very soon. My question is more specific on the property market, on the realty market. How will a likely rate cut impact the realty sector that has gathered momentum? And I'm talking about the property market, which has gathered momentum after the pandemic headwinds have completely subsided now. Vikas?
Yeah. Gaurav, so your question has multiple aspects, so let me try and address each one of them. Fed rate cut, I would say it's definitely a positive move, but it needs to be seen if the Fed continues to maintain that trajectory and further cuts it down in the upcoming Fed meetings, because that will be a strong signal to the foreign investors to start looking at India being one of the fastest growing economy we've seen, because the Fed rates were high. The foreign capital was not coming the way we expected or the way we wanted. If Fed continues to cut the rate, I think that's a very, very positive signal from a foreign investment perspective, because we'll suddenly start seeing foreign capital start coming to India, which is much needed, especially to support the economic growth what we aspire to. It's important. Uh, Fed rate cut, if it happens consistently, as you rightly said, RBI will take that leave and probably start cutting the rates down in India as well. But so there are two things all this rate cut impacts. One is on the developer side. As we all know, real estate is a highly capital intensive business, and developers rely on leveraging or rely on the borrowed capital. And if the interest rates are high for their borrowing, which means the cost of delivery or cost of construction will going to be higher for the end user. So the rate cuts going down will definitely help developers bring down the cost of construction, which eventually will get passed on to the buyers. Now, the other aspect, which is the buyer side, buyers, I feel, doesn't get impacted too much with half a percent up or half a percent down, because the mortgage decision which they are making is a pretty long term decision, and it's typically on an average a person continues their mortgage for 12 to 14 years for a house, and in that 12 to 14 years you end up seeing at least 2 to 3 cycles of up and down of interest rates when you're making your property buying decision. And I would suggest that should not be, because it hardly impacts your EMI in terms of the overall impact. So that's how it needs to be seen. One caution point, I think, from a geopolitical standpoint, what's happening in Israel and Iran is a caution point. These Fed rates could suddenly, we see a very different trajectory if these things escalate, as we've been noticing for the last couple of days. So that's a caution point for me.
Absolutely. No, very well said, because the rate cuts, as and when they happen in India, actually will work more strongly by bringing down the cost of capital for developers more than on a relative scale how it will benefit home buyers. Of course, it will benefit home buyers because, as you said, over a 15-year cycle, the secular trend is that every home buyer will go through the up cycle as well as the down cycle of interest rates. But for the developers, if the cost of raising capital comes down, they'll eventually pass it on to home buyers in the form of reduced cost, reduced prices. If not reduced prices, the price rises itself will moderate. The key event, however, the exogenous factor that we need to keep in mind is what's happening in the Middle East and West Asia. If it spirals out of control, most of these assumptions on interest rates may not hold. Thank you so much, Vikas, for taking the time out and dropping by to have this conversation with us. Always a delight to have you on the show.
Lovely talking to you, Gaurav, and once again, very happy festive season to all of you, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Vikas. Wish you all a very happy Navratras and Durga Puja. That's it from us for this episode. We shall be back again with a fresh episode of Keeping It Real by Housing.com with information and insights on the real estate industry. Whether you are a pro or a beginner, we are here to keep you informed and entertained in the world of Indian real estate. This is Keeping It Real by Housing.com, where we keep it real always. You can catch the episode on Housing.com, on the Housing.com app, on the YouTube channel of Housing.com, on earshot.in, Spotify.com, Apple Podcasts, and Geo7. Take care and stay safe.